Hello my Ultra Humans, and welcome back to my channel Ultra Human, where I, Rachel, am here to help you become your best human. And today I want to talk to you about the beginning of my journey with something called the self-authoring project, something like that. It is a program offered by Jordan Peterson, and it essentially breaks down into a 4-part past, present virtues, present faults, and future work things. You go through them. Like I said, I just started this, so I'm going to do my best to kind of tell you what it is and what I've gotten out of it so far. So basically the premise of this as an idea is that when we have an experience, and that experience is typically, I guess, a really bad experience. Let's just use that as an example because I think it's the most common. Let's say we have a very visceral bad experience. We're afraid. Let's just say we're a kid and we see our parents and they're fighting and we're small, and where do we go and what do we do? And we learn from that experience how to cope in that situation. So let's just say now it's, 25 years later and we've grown up and we're in a new relationship and a fight breaks out. And what we have learned to do is shut down or go hide. Or maybe we picked up somewhere along the way that the thing to do is yell or whatever. The idea is that by going through the events from your past, getting into focus your present virtues and faults, that those things will help you shape an idea of where and how you would like your future to be. So that's the idea as I gather it thus far. Like I said, I just signed up last night. I just realized while I've been listening to Jordan Peterson over the last month and a half, I have heard many times people talk about, including himself, clearly, his self-authoring program, and I only just realized how cheap it was. It's $30 to sign up, $29.95 or whatever, and that comes with a 2-for-1. So, for example, I wanted to sign up, so I'm signing up and I'm going through this with my partner. We're doing it independently, but we're going to be kind of talking with each other and consulting on how we feel things are going, as sort of like a pre-marriage gift to one another. Get our own, here you go, honey, I figured out my shit and I'm not as crazy anymore. But I mean, isn't that wonderful if we could really just do that for our families, ourselves, everyone we interact with? If we can be more whole humans, isn't that great? And that's why I'm talking about this here on this channel, is because I really do think what they talk about in the program is you're taking those responses from a very animal part that's literally physically in the back of your brain. You're taking these animal responses from the lower part of your consciousness and you're moving them both literally physically and in a metaphorical sense. They're going higher in the way that we process them. So by articulating these experiences, and even without signing up for this program, which I highly suggest, like I said, it's so darn cheap, and you can get somebody else involved in the process of starting it on your own. And so, I mean, what better? It's Christmas gift. That'd be kind of a weird Christmas gift, but if you've got someone that you're close to like that, maybe you could split the cost or something. But even without that, if you just have a notebook and you can sit down, and it kind of goes back to that pre-meditation video I just did. I will put the link to that in the description too, where you're just revisiting these things, and whatever's coming up is going to come up, And rather than continuing to suppress that, we're going to meet it. And in this program, you're going to write it down. What was it that happened? What is that shame that we feel? What is that joy that we feel? What is that guilt that we feel? Write it all out. What was that experience that brought us to that place? And I found like I consider myself a pretty like up and happy person and things. And so when I very first went through breaking things down, I felt like, well, okay, this will be, you know, nonchalant kind of thing. And then I was really remembering some different things that happened in different parts of my life where I hadn't shut them out. Like, I didn't forget that it happened, but I definitely didn't think about it the first time I went through you know, trying to identify 4 to 6 events in a particular phase of life. And they came bubbling back up. And that's why one of the things about this process is they say it's good to do over the course of several days. Take each section and do it, you know, an hour here, take a day, maybe meditate on it for another day in between, and then do it the next day, that kind of thing. Because one thing I'm going to start doing, moving ahead with this process, is keeping a dream journal, because I think it's a very heavy process, and I'm trying to take it tiny bite at a time. And I know last night, they say, when you're reading through the tiny booklet pamphlet that comes at the beginning of the program, they say that sleep and dreaming is very important to this process. And it took me about halfway through today to realize, have some kind of a flash moment, and just, I had some really intense dreams last night, and I can't remember what they were about. And so that's one thing I need to keep my journal next to my bed. And when I wake up, I gotta catch that. And whatever's left fresh, get it down. One piece of advice I have about doing that particular exercise is going back to something I'd mentioned in an earlier video, waking up in between your sleep cycles and not dead in the middle of one, really helps with retention of the memory of those dreams, because you're going to be, rather than being jarred out of sleep into being awake, even if you're waking up to an alarm, you're going to more like float out of that space, and you're much more likely, in my experience, to have an intact memory of what your dreams were. So that, I will put a link to that in the description as well. That's sleepy.ti.me, sleepy time. And that is a sleep calculator that will tell you if you're going to sleep right now, when should you wake up. If you have a designated time you need to wake up, it will go backwards and it will tell you when you should be falling asleep. And I've been using that. I can't always use it because the thing is that a sleep cycle is an hour and a half long. And so if you miss that first, that ideal time to fall asleep, and you really want to, you know, wake up at a certain time, and you have to stay up for another hour and a half before you fall asleep. And the thing is I've realized that's actually better to do. Because if you really can't put off when you wake up, or, you know, scoot things around one way or the other, you wake up so groggy, that first hour and a half of the morning, you're gonna lose your shit, you're gonna forget to wear the coffee machine, everything is gonna, you're just gonna lose that time anyway. And so I definitely suggest, like, if that happens, if you miss that ideal time to fall asleep and you're losing a little sleep, read a book, take some time to make your bedroom, you know, clean some stuff up. I'm sure you have to, like I do, you know, clean something up somewhere. So those are some of the things that I'm going to be doing in this process moving forward. Getting a little better about my sleep schedule and when I'm waking up so that I can catch those dreams in my dream journal. And just taking it, a chunk at a time. And like I said, I spent a couple hours on this last night, and I laughed and I cried and I talked about it with my partner, and it was more intense than I thought it would be in the first day. So I will be doing more videos about going in the future with this. I wanted to do, hopefully I'm done with this in 30 days. So I was kind of thinking a 30 days of self-authoring series is in our future. So I love you. I hope that you have a fantastic September day or whenever you are viewing this. And till next time, be your best human here on planet Earth. Thanks.